Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Wednesday night session. Today, I'm not feeling great. I'm under the weather a little bit, so I'll go as long as I can. And if you have any questions, please ask them early enough so I know how much longer I need to go. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and open with the Lord's Prayer in the Aramaic tongue, the way Jesus spoke it over 2,000 years ago. أوند وشمية نثقداش شما تأثي ملكوتا نهو سوينخ كند وشمية أبر حاولان لحمة سنكان يومنا واش وقلان حوبين كند بحنان شوقن لحيوين لا تعمل نسيونا إلا بصا من جه مثل ولدي لاخي ملكوثة أي لو تشبحته العالم عالمين آمين. So today I wanted to close out. The 3 times I spoke, I started I called it Jesus 101 because I got some questions in the beginning or from the previous sessions of like what kind of toolkit do we need to take the kingdom into action today? And hopefully I shed some light on Jesus's approach, and I want to continue that. One of the things I really wanted to start with today is to focus on patterns. Jesus was more about patterns of behavior, patterns of challenges, patterns of social training, expectations. So that as you read his gospel, a lot of what you see even in his parables and so forth is he doesn't do like the church does, or maybe even Paul and the early church kind of fell into that situation where they started being more pinpointed. What do I do when this specific things happen? The circumcision comes to mind, eating pork or hoofed animals. Adultery between a son and his father's wife, and it's not his mother, but one of the other wives. So they were nitpicking, asking questions that are more specific. When you're reading Jesus and when you're reading his parables and his statements, he really gives you more of a way, he puts you in charge. And being in charge is not typically what we like to have. So that's part of the hard ministry of Jesus, and being a student of Jesus and being in the kingdom and bringing the kingdom into fruition is the burden is on you always to take these patterns and then look at the situations you're in and then figure out, I need to be playful. Jesus, I'm going to be focusing on Matthew chapters like 18, 19, 20, which kind of leads us into his entry into Jerusalem and the debates that he gets into, and ultimately into his death. So when Jesus in chapter 18, at the very hour, the disciples came up to Jesus and said, "Who is greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" So I mean, this is towards the end of his ministry, and these young men and women who followed him all this time and got to sit under him and study and ask him the right questions, spent hours with him on the road and at dinners and so forth. Here we are, late into his ministry, and they're still debating who is the greatest. So again, Jesus could have had, A, B, and C. The vice president is next in command, and the senior director is after that, and so forth, which we'll see more of that. But what does he do? So Jesus called a little child and made him stand up in the midst of them. And he said, "Truly I say to you, unless you change and become like little children, you shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. I mean, that's a very strong statement. So we know that when he was speaking with the Jewish teacher in John, he told him you need to be born again, which now have a huge movement of born again Christians who, accept Jesus and go through this, accept Christ. And so this is along the same lines of that discussion. You need to be like children, and that's the pattern. So how do I be? How am I a child in life? Because the message that we get, all of you managed to log into Zoom and have a password and a username and so forth. If we had a 2-year-old or 3-year-old and I said go, let them join the call, one of you would have had to jump in and help them, on their way. And then we would have spent probably the rest of this talk trying to keep them from turning things on and off and bouncing around and so forth. So being playful in life, I'm not asking you to go be mischievous at work and so forth, but at least my philosophy at work was I am not going there to obey the structure, which really drove some people crazy. Who try to manage me until that they don't really need to manage me. That I was working. I can't say harder because I didn't like working hard. That means that something is off. But I worked smart, and I went to work to play. And that was my statement every morning as I'm heading out. I'm like giddy. And the day that I had 8 hours of meetings, I was like almost depressed because as somebody who wants to play, I didn't want to go and sit on the phone with an earpiece and listen to hours and hours and hours of talking. Now, when I had the blessing of starting my business and implementing my own culture, it was completely different. We didn't have meetings. We had 10, 15-minute briefings in the morning. It's like, hey, what are we working on? Is everybody clear on what you want to do? Are you having fun? If you're not having fun, why? What's stressing you? Let's go through. That was, come to my office and let's work on this together and opportunities to coach and learn at the same time. So Jesus was very clear that if you don't implement that, if you don't take life lightly, which is anti the message that we get today. You grow older, you become responsible, you become accountable. And I'm not saying you don't do all of these things. It's just the difference is you're enjoying it and you're going above and beyond the expectations, both in the office with your family, with your children, with your parents. You become a source of joy. Okay, remember, and this was the joyful message. We're having Christmas around the corner. And the message that came with Jesus's birth, though the story was written many years after his death, was that he brought a joyful message. The gospel means the joyful message. So how could we have joy when people put these burdens on us? And he constantly, as I continue to read, if I read, we see the Sadducees. He accuses them. The scribes and the Sadducees. I think the Pharisees, sorry, is who he accuses. But he clashed with these religious authorities because they were taking the joy of the kingdom out of their people. They work really hard on converting people into their movement from the Jewish crowds and sometimes from the Gentiles. And they bring him in, and then they, instead of having them have fun and celebrate and enjoy life, they start counting their steps. They start counting if they're eating on the Sabbath. They start counting if they, they did the wrong thing at the wrong time, did not pay enough at the temple, did not go here. So it was a constant. And if you think about religions today, the bulk of them are structured that way. They're structured like the Sadducees and the Pharisees and the scribes. And the temple, we have a place and we have obligations and we have committees and so forth. And some of them do it well. So I have to give credit to some churches. I've been around those and I've been around ones that didn't. But if you do it well, if you create a believer system, a believer community, not system, then you come and play together. In the office, you're playing together. In the house, you're playing together, we're having fun, we're making a meal, we're having fun, we're cleaning, we're having fun. Even the chores become more fun if you bring that joy. So that's one of really the key simple messages from Jesus. And he warned his apostles. He said, if you don't do that, you cannot enter into the kingdom. Now, I'm sure in your minds right now, you're thinking about the current situation in this country, the current situation in the world, in Europe, in the Middle East, and those people are working within systems that are not Jesus's. So that's also an important differentiation. When you commit to the kingdom, you have to let go of a lot of these things. So that's a big challenge, because today, as soon as you wake up, we're bombarded by information, and then we're surrounded by a lot of people, and especially media and social media, who are constantly trying to drag us in one direction or the other. And a lot of them are doing it basically to get higher ratings, or they're trying to push products. So you have to be very careful. When Jesus was being pulled in that direction, he constantly pushed back and stayed neutral. When they tried to force him to take a stand against the Romans, so they put him on the spot again, around the same chapters I'm reading. They put him on the spot and they asked him a point blank question: do we pay taxes to the Romans? And he didn't play the game. He said yes, because that system requires taxes. If you live under that system, you have two choices. You either pay your taxes or you get punished. And he was not about to get punished. And he had enough faith in the same story, is that his said basically, go catch a fish, and that pays your taxes. Because when you paid your taxes, at the time of Jesus, not everybody had cash. So if you had grains, if you had, you made something in the house, whatever, you made a deal with the tax collectors, and they basically checked your name off the list if they got something that they were satisfied with. And they were mean. The bulk of them were very mean. So when Jesus was answering these questions, he knew tax collectors, authority from the Roman Empire, spies, they're all watching him. And they wanted to also trap him, because the Jewish people had a lot of rebellion in them. They didn't like being under the Roman control. So take that and now apply it to you today. If you are in a political party, or you check a box that says I'm on this side or that side, you're dealing with a lot of these dynamics. They're changing this, they're doing this last minute, they're pardoning somebody. So if you buy into that system, you are going to be dragged in. You're going to lose your joy. You're going to lose your playfulness, and you'll start arguing, and maybe even getting becoming an enemy to some of the people you love the most. So watch out. That's the pattern. Okay, Jesus gives you the pattern. You need to figure out, okay, which one of these is the one that I need to use here. So I mentioned systems, and systems are all systems except the system of the kingdom, because it's unique to you. So that's why, I ask you to be you, not the Hanny the Palestinian, Hanny the Christian, Hanny the 50-some-year-old, Hanny the male, Hanny the Arizonan. All those things are put on me. I carry IDs, identify me with all these things, and passports and voter registration cards and so forth. Okay, now I live and believe that this is who I am, or I can understand what I am, which is a follower of Jesus, a spirit in the same, an aruha. The Aramaic is much more powerful than spirit. Aruha, a breath of God, lives in me and unites me with all of you, and with all of the humanity, and all the past humanity, and the future humanity. So when that's my highest level of being. And now I have this bag of tricks, that the Jesus teachings, the Jesus keys, the patterns, and I shared with you 10 of them. I rewrote a bunch of them today. So if we have time towards the end, I'll go through them one by one. I'm hoping to cover them. And actually, I'm in front of me, so I don't want to miss any of them. Let me them up. More of along the playfulness, the opposite of it, rigidity. You will notice, and hopefully, I'm not the one who notices this. As we become more experienced in life, and we age more, our belief systems, and especially ones and the bad ones, become more like pillars, principle, and you live by them. Now, the good ones need to be malleable. They need to be flexible. You need to be able to have fun when you have 8 hours of meetings, just because that's your life. So you need to figure it out. I said when I was first coming into that system, I dreaded that, and I did not like it. By the time I was done with that system, I used to be known as the one who had the headset in his ear and walking around the office and dancing and muting and saying funny things and so forth. Not to discredit or to make fun of the people who were on the call with me, just to create joy, including the people who were on the call with me. They would see me there, and they would lighten up, and they would come up with ideas. And what would be a doom meeting of projects failing, delayed, or budget, or whatever it is, became something that we worked on to make it better. So that rigidity also transfers to, I know what the kingdom is all about, so I'm gonna talk to everybody, and anybody who doesn't get my form of the kingdom, I'm gonna show them. So be careful of rigidity. The meek, which Jesus said, "Blessed are meek." That's the biggest quality. To be meek is to be malleable, is to be humble, is to kind of shift with the wind without breaking, and surviving that. So that's one of the keys for you to moving in life, is constantly check yourself. Am I being rigid, or am I being malleable? Am I being flexible? Am I having fun in what I'm doing, or am I hating it, but the money is great, or the marriage is what I committed to, or whatever it is. Make it fun, and it all will work out. And then, so let me read you this one, because I love the apostles. The apostles, if you pay close attention to the apostles, too bad I didn't write the verses down. But the apostles are great because they show that the immature part of us as we come into the kingdom. So when you go to church today, like if you're Catholic or in any, when they say Peter, Simon Peter, or the Apostle Matthew, or yeah, it's like, oh, those wise men. If you read them in the Bible, and they were great. Okay, Jesus handpicked these people. He knew if he gets to them, if he teaches them these patterns, they'll take this movement forward and change the world, which they did. So, but in the Bible, while he was alive, if you watch them carefully, they were constantly thinking and asking sometimes the wrong questions, just like who's the greatest amongst us? A kid. He puts a kid. Not he doesn't Peter go, no, you're the wise one, you're the one who joined me first, blah blah blah. He just the a kid from the crowd, and says, okay, this is the greatest one, because he can enter the king now by his purity, by his simplicity, by his joy of life. So then he teaches about forgiveness, and forgiveness is key. I can't emphasize it enough, and I think I talked about it before. But forgiveness is today, it's I think it lost its path. We have sayings that are now floating in society, and they're the norm. I'll forgive, but I won't forget. You hear that a lot. Forgiveness is about the other. It's about you releasing. And if you have, Jesus said, if you even have an issue with other, and you're paying your alms, or you're tithing, you're sitting there about to write the check and put it in the basket, and you remember that you have an issue with your brother, and brother in the Middle East is almost anybody not just blood brothers. Then you take your money, you put it back in your pocket, and you go solve that problem. And until that problem is solved and released and there is true forgiveness, then you come back and you do that. So that's how important forgiveness is. And Peter asks them, yeah, yeah. Congregation. Anyway, hey, there it is. Then Peter came up. So, Jesus is teaching. And then Peter goes, excuse me, I have a question. Came up and said to him, my Lord, Malpana, my teacher, or Rabbi, if my brother is at fault with me, they did something bad to me. Okay, and I'm the good one. How many times should I forgive him? Up to 7 times? Now remember, Peter, Simon Peter is a simple fisherman, young. Then Jesus said to him, I do not say to you up to 7 times, but up 70 times 77. Now, the number 7 is used because of significance in the culture. It's a whole number. It's a complete number. So Jesus blows Peter's mind. I'm sure Peter could not, at the moment, figure out what 7 times 77 is. But he just knew it's endless. It's as big as it's infinity. Forgive your brother to infinity beyond, because that's how forgiveness works. It's not by nitpicking. I called them, they didn't answer. It's on them now. I did that. No, you have to let go. And sometimes they're not going to be receptive. That's your work on yourself. Once you feel like you've released them truly, completely, and you have no bad feeling towards them, then your work is done. If they're still stuck, that's on them. They have to work through it and figure it out. And sometimes they never do because they are not part of the kingdom. They are not exposed to the same teachings. That does not concern you. Okay, so that's very important. Is the concept of forgiveness. What else did I put down here? Stop. I said it before, which is nip it or quit it. So it comes up often, and it comes up in your questions often. What if the bad people are, or what if I get myself in a bad situation? And sometimes life takes you, especially sometimes when you're not aware of the kingdom. And there are a lot of scenarios where you feel like, you're part of a group or something and you do the wrong thing. Or you're tempted, something is in front of you, you just can't help it. And you reach and you take it or it or whatever. So Jesus said, bad stuff will happen to us. There is no way around it. As long as there are people around, bad things will happen. You will get hot-blooded and punch somebody when we're young and can get hot-blooded. When we might say the wrong thing in the wrong moment and hurt somebody, or expose a secret or something. So a lot of things could happen. And Jesus basically, his method is quit it. And he uses Aramaic idioms about if your arm offends you, meaning if you're, constantly, I had actually, this is funny, but I had 4 of these. I'm left with 2. I used to keep them in my office in a stack. And somebody decided one day, I have no idea who, but I sat there and I said, okay, they love these things more than I do. Then they took them, I forgave, and I moved on. I have 2, which is more than what I need. So but for that person, they need to figure out how to stop doing that, because at some point they are going to get caught. And if they get caught, they probably will lose a job. And they could be the senior developer on my team, or it could be the person who empties the trash cans. It doesn't matter. Being honest, holding yourself accountable, and then quitting the things that you wanna quit. I forgive them. That it's their work to forgive. Hopefully, they don't feel bad. But that's the dynamic of the kingdom. That's a pattern. I just gave you a silly example about something that was in a gift bag that I was given one day. So how apply these? Sometimes they're more serious than this, that get taken by you or from you. But you see how it kind of all works together, and then they're not theoretical. I know that people spend a ton of time. I mean, I look at the number of books I have, and I have a room with more shelves than this room. and they get into the nitty-gritty, and what if this and what if that, and when in 1980 something somebody did this, and the authority in Rome said that. It is like, leave that to the people who want to do that. If you want to live in them, it's simple. It's very simple. It's hard, but it's simple. Hard because we're not these things. We're constantly being pushed into be serious, defend your belief systems, defend your nationality. So the systems that I'm talking about, I listed a few of them, they're all flawed. So if you buy into political systems, they're flawed. It doesn't matter who is, what it is, how high up they feel, how pro this or against that they are flawed because they take away humanity and they take positions. Religions, religious systems are designed to protect themselves, to expand, to hold their people in because they're all about the numbers. They want to grow. They want to bring the numbers in. And those are very, and even the smallest churches, you give them enough time and they grow, they struggle because it goes away from where they're having fun meeting at somebody's house to budget, renting space, did something against, different than how we always did it. Blah got a raise because they've been here a long time and I didn't. So religion sometimes, and that forget the dogma. The dogma where, many wars are started because of dogma. Sometimes of the same religion, sometimes religion against religion. So that's why I don't buy into religions, whatever it is, including Christianity, including Judaism. True Judaism or true Christianity, the followers of Jesus are the ones I'm talking about. And those people will not start wars. And they didn't until 321 when Constantine made it a state religion, Christianity that is. Then it became, we wore crosses on our armor. Jesus did not wear a cross on his armor. He never wanted anything to do with the cross. That was the worst moment in his life. So, and we glorify it because that's religion tells us, oh, look, you should feel guilty. He died for you, or because of you, or whatever the interpretation is. Versus his message is, I am giving my life to salvage you out of these systems that continue to drag you down. I am happy to die teaching you these things. That's his message. And hopefully I'll find the verse before we're done. No, thank you, Spirit, because I wasn't like this in the last 2 days, so I'm surprised how well things are going. Watch what you say and maybe say less or don't say anything. That's part of Jesus because, as I said, sometimes in a hot moment, we declare something, we spill a secret, we offend somebody for whatever reason, nationality, gender orientation, religion, whatever. So be careful because he said you're better off eating anything that religion doesn't tell that tells you not to eat than to actually say things about other people or other religions because that's how you get in trouble. So, but how do people know that you are a follower of the kingdom? Do you declare it? Profess your belief in Jesus. Profess that your sins. Ask forgiveness. All heady, mouthy stuff that we do. Well, no. He said they will know you by your works. And that was so important that when you are a part of the kingdom, you are the lowest profile person in existence. Now, people will notice you, and whether you care or you don't care, people will notice you. They might elevate you, they might not elevate you, but you're not doing this to be recognized. You're not doing this to get the next promotion. You're not doing this to be, the employee of the quarter or the employee of the year. You're doing this because it's the right thing to do, because you're happy doing it, because your life is so good doing these things. Okay, or husband of the year, or father of the year, or mother of the year. I mean, all these things that we sometimes go like, oh, I do things, I do the chores, I do this, but that's not what Jesus is about. It's like, so also all the good works that you do them in secret. So we are full of recognition. We love recognition. And for sometimes for all reasons. But and you know I watched some NFL games this past week, and it's that time of the year where they're nominating people for the Walter Payton Award, which is these are people who, you know, athletes who dedicate a lot of their time helping their community. And I love that. And the great thing, if you listen to the people who won it, who were announcing some of these things, they were saying, you know, that almost every athlete on these teams, they are part of programs and they do a lot of work. So it's not about the recognition. Sometimes you see that even people who are truly doing this from the heart, they're almost uncomfortable with the nomination. More often than not, that statue, that award that you get nationally is your reward. Feel like, you know what, I sat for an hour with a kid who's fighting cancer, or with a mother who's, you know, surviving a bad situation, and I you know connected with them soul to soul, and I managed to help and uplift them. That's my reward. I don't need somebody to give me a statue and tell me, hey, good job at, you know, doing that. That almost in a way. So again, do your good works in secret, and don't boast. Don't expect things to come to you because of your good works. It's expected of you. What, you know, why do we make a big deal out of it? Why aren't we all volunteering to make our community better? You have to be a multi-million dollar athlete to do that. So as a citizen of the kingdom, you can look and say, hey, I'm not an NFL player, or I'm not a, you know, the most famous soccer player and making $100 million a year. No, the least of you to be known as the best. So your little work in your community, in helping your neighbor get their meal when they're not feeling well, you're, you know, gathering a few butts together and hiring somebody to clean some yard, or doing it on the weekend yourself with a few neighbors. These are the things that make our community better. These are the things that make everybody better, regardless of, you know, weed everywhere. So it doesn't ask, are you of this religion or that religion, or this political party or that political party. Those are the things that Jesus is talking about, the pattern of helping one another, the pattern of doing good works, the pattern of forgiving, the pattern of being joyful and having fun, the pattern of being malleable. Anytime you feel like, this touches me the wrong way. And we carry a lot of that with us. We carry it from our parents and grandparents. We carry it from our schools, from our, you know, the stuff we get exposed to makes you kind of like a knee-jerk reaction. You just hear it and it's like before you even can think about it. Okay, and those are the things that you, as you're working with the principles of the kingdoms, Jesus' teachings, you practice, and that's very important. You need to practice these things, not just listen to Wednesday night and then go, okay, until next Wednesday. You need to write a list down and say, these are the things these are the things I'm going to change. And then follow, and you'll find that that list is so easy, because the next list is going to be harder and harder. And then the more you master these things, living the kingdom and being happy and joyful, not having any fear of anything. So one of those things is faith. Again, think about children. When you were 2 or 3 years old, if you had parents, which I know not everybody is blessed with that. We have some situations that you know, people are not licensed to become parents, but so if you had parents, you did not wake up every day when from age 1 day, 1 minute old, till you probably were 18, thinking about how am I going to pay rent? Or what am I eating for breakfast? Or, oh, it's cold out there. Am I, you know, and my jacket from last year is small. Am I going to get a big one? That's the faith. That's why Jesus used the term Father, Allah, because he was referring to a parent that takes good care of us. Now, God doesn't have a sewing machine to make you a nice new coat for your winter, but God has his workers, that's other citizens of the kingdom, and your parents, the good ones, take good care of you, and you don't have to ask about it. So he's saying, continue that faith in humanity, in one another, and in the wisdom of Allah, to get everything that you need. And don't be attached to any of those outcomes, because some we make that list. I need a coat for the winter, and I need this much money to do this and that. Once you do that, then you're trying to direct, the universe to serve you. And God is not a vending machine. And neither are the good people who are doing the good work. If you're boom, 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 I'm going to get my way, I'm going to get the bigger house, I'm going to get more cars, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, then that's your reward, and you'll struggle. I promise you that your life is going to be a struggle, because these things will consume you, and you're not going to be that joyful person that we need you to be a part of the kingdom. You'll not be the forgiving person. You'll be a totally different person, and that's fine. That's not our problem. That's your problem. That's their problem. So that's very important, is not to judge, because as I said, we become rigid. Even kingdom people can become rigid. So that's your risk. Am I being rigid? Am I going like, oh, my way is the right way? I heard it and I read it, and Jesus said it. I know what it is. That's not what it's about. You just focus on yourself, and that's why Jesus said, hold the mirror and to yourself. And why are you plucking the little stick out of your brother's eye when you have a pole going through yours? Because it's much easier to go like, oh, you have a flaw. Let me take care of that flaw for you. Let me highlight it for you, while you're not in the mirror and seeing your flaws. So that's again, work, constant work. Keep refining yourself. And the good thing is, you had it all when you were born. You had it all when you were a child. Now you just need to figure out how to continue and bring it up in your children. I always say society gets bad and we have these wars, not because there are bad people, because we raise bad people sometimes. Think about that. We raise every person. We give them a reason to be something, and it's a big challenge for them, for all of us, to get away from that, because that's not the messaging that we get, to actually maintain our goodness, and more importantly, touch everybody our lives come into, especially if you have children or nieces and nephews, grandchildren, whatever. Show them goodness, show them trust, show them beauty, show them joy, and be an example to them that way. That's the only way these people are going to lead society into a better place. But if we continue with ideologies and political systems and religious systems and corporate systems and so forth, it's not going to do me or you, if you're a citizen of the kingdom, but it's not going to make a lot of things fun. But believe me, you can live a very joyful life while the bombs are dropping, while things are, not because you don't care. You care deeply, and you're doing your best to change that. And that form of change, as I said, community, raising better children, whatever your talents bring you, use that. Okay, I have a few more. Talked about don't seek recognition, and you will be rewarded and punished based on your priorities. So you put your focus on money. That's where you might make more, might lose more, but that's what's going to consume you day to day. That's what. So again, all these, and I've talked about the parables of Jesus. If you can listen to those, Dr. Eriko has done quite a bit of work on the parables. So you'll see those patterns at the end. The parable of the person who buries his treasure in the back. And that's what he every day he's up by the window looking. Okay, is the land disturbed? Did somebody dig where I hid my money? It consumes you. So buy a new car and have it all nice and shiny. If you don't have a garage, you'll constantly be looking. Install a camera system to track it. Every time there is an alert, you make sure nobody touch your car. That it consumes you. So be consumed with goodness. Be consumed by being the most wonderful neighbor in your neighborhood, by the most wonderful employee in your company, by being the most wonderful person in your church. I'm not telling you to leave your church, because churches are good. I just did emphasize that when you meet and invoke my teachings amongst you, I'll be with you. So you'll have that spirit of Jesus of Nazareth. All these lovely teachings will power you, will continue to open your mind and open your heart to new ways to bring a better world and to be in the kingdom. So that's my summary of Jesus 101. Hopefully you have some questions, and if not, I think I need to turn the heat down because I'm getting very warm. So let me look. I have a couple comments or questions. How did you get such a deep faith? Did you have a mystical experience? I wish that I could say that there was a moment of it. There were many moments that led me to this. And as I said towards the end, the more you practice, the more you read. I read these chapters over and over and over. I read these comments over and over. And I read some things that are fully aligned. And it's like when it's not aligned, it's at you. So that's the risk of the systems, is that if you veer away from the Jesus method, if you veer away from, you start reading other books in the Bible and giving them the type of importance that the church gives them because it serves their purpose, it starts taking away from you. So and I can't say that my life has always gone the way I wanted it to. I've had a lot of stressful situations, a lot of situations where I had to leave countries, where I had to, not be able to get a job and so forth. And when I was going through those things, I didn't really know what I know today. But now when I look back at it, I bless those people. I used to want to put curses on people who gave me those situations. It's like without that person and you can't do this, I wouldn't be doing it today. And what a blessing that is. So they are part of my blessing. And I see that. And I truly mean. So a lot of people who played what would have been viewed by me as negative over time and over deep study of Jesus, and I get those eureka moments. It wasn't just one moment where I woke up, but those sparks are constant in my life of saying, "Oh my God, that was a blessing. I always thought it was a bad thing. Oh, that person is going to feel really bad one day because they think it's bad, but it's good." And I know it is. Maybe I don't know exactly the details. Sometimes people come to me and I can help them see that good in it. Sometimes I don't have an answer. And I just say, have faith and let's work with it together. And before you know it, it starts manifesting. But you have to master forgiveness. You have to look for joy. You have to be playful. You have to not be rigid. So all these things I said are the principles of how to live a Jesus-led life. So great question. And I know some people who do have those moments of like, wow, when I woke up. This happened to me. I woke up and my life has never been the same. So I'm not dismissing the idea, but in my experience has been like bits and pieces. In meditation, the phrase, out of the box question, in meditation, the phrase, the breath of God lives in me. Please translate into Aramaic. This phrase has arisen in meditation. Thank you. The breath of God, Ruh Alaha. I'm not sure how I'd say is more with you. So use Ruh Alaha as mine. I am the Ruh Alaha. And that should connect you, but using English is not any weaker. So but in Aramaic, yeah, Ruh Allah is the Laha is the equivalent of Spirit of God or the breath of God. So use that, and it should give you that the feeling that you're looking for. The light restores my soul. Um, well, Aramaic, is tricky and has masculine, feminine, and so forth. But Nohra is light. So use Nuhra. Just the mantra could be Allaha, Nuhra, Ruha, Ruha Dallaha, Nuhra. And if ask for that light, ask for that light. That should help you with your meditation. And if I have a chance, I'll jot it next time I speak. Those are all the questions I'm seeing, and we still have about 15 minutes. But because of my energy level and I've been dealing with the last few days, I'm gonna wish you a very happy holiday. Dr. Erica will be with you next week, and we're working the details as my travels take me around the world and different time zones, etc. So when we have a little bit more clarity, we'll share that with you. Love the fact that you are with me on Wednesday night as usual. I appreciate your time. We appreciate your support. And during this time of festivities and holidays, I wish you the peace of God. I wish the peace of God on all of earth. And may we continue to bring the kingdom into fruition and to being something that we touch and to light every day with every breath of our lives. Peace to all of you.